The Project Gutenberg ebook of the Tower. This ebook is for the use of anyone anywhere in the United States and most other parts of the world at no cost and with almost no restrictions whatsoever. You may copy it, give it away or reuse it under the terms of the Project Gutenberg license included with this ebook or online at www.gutenberg.org. If you are not located in the United States, you will have to check the laws of the country where you are located before using this ebook. Title: The Tower. Author: W.B. Yeats. Release date: February 18, 2024. Ebook number 72985. Language: English. Original publication: London, Macmillan & Co., Limited, 1928. Credits: produced by Christopher Hapcott. Images generously made available by Hathitrust Digital Library. Start of the Project Gutenberg ebook. The Tower. The Tower by W.B. Yeats. Macmillan & Co., Limited, St. Martin's Street, London, 1928. Contents: Sailing to Byzantium. The Tower. Meditations in Time of Civil War, 1919. The Will, Youth and Age. The New Faces. A Prayer for My Son. Two songs from a play: Wisdom, Leda and the Swan. On a picture of a black centaur among school children. Colonists praise the hero, the girl, and the fool. Owen Ahern and his dancers. A man young and old. The Three Monuments from Oedipus at Colonus. The Gift of Harun al-Rashid. All Souls Night. Note: Sailing to Byzantium. That is no country for old men. The young in one another's arms, birds in the trees, those dying generations at their song, the salmon falls, the mackerel crowded seas. Fish, flesh, or fowl, commend all summer long whatever is begotten, born and dies. Caught in that sensual music all neglect monuments of unaging intellect. To an aged man is but a paltry thing, a tattered coat upon a stick, unless soul clap its hands and sing, and louder sing for every tatter in its mortal dress, nor is there singing school but studying monuments of its own magnificence, and therefore I have sailed the seas and come to the holy city of Byzantium. 3. O sages standing in God's holy fire as in the gold mosaic of a wall, come from the holy fire, burn in a gyre, and be the singing masters of my soul. Consume my heart away, sick with desire, and fasten to a dying animal it knows not what it is, and gather me into the artifice of eternity. For once out of nature I shall never take my bodily form from any natural thing, but such a form as Grecian goldsmiths make of hammered gold and gold enameling to keep a drowsy emperor awake, or set upon a golden bough to sing to lords and ladies of Byzantium of what is past, or passing, or to come. 1927. The Tower. What shall I do with this absurdity, O heart, O troubled heart, this caricature, decrepit age that has been tied to me as to a dog's tail? Never had I more excited, passionate, fantastical imagination, nor an ear and eye that more expected the impossible. No, not in boyhood, when with rod and fly, or the humbler worm, I climbed Ben Bulben's back and had the livelong summer day to spend. It seems that I must bid the muse go pack, choose Plato and Plotinus for a friend until imagination, ear and eye, can be content with argument and deal in abstract things, or be derided by a sort of battered kettle at the heel. 2. I pace upon the battlements and stare on the foundations of a house, or where tree, like a sooty finger, starts from the earth, and send imagination forth under the day's declining beam, and call images and memories from ruin or from ancient trees, for I would ask a question of them all. Beyond that ridge lived Mrs. French, and once when every silver candlestick or sconce lit up the dark mahogany and the wine, a serving man that could divine that most respected lady's every wish, ran and with the garden shears clipped an insolent farmer's ears and brought them in a little covered dish. Some few remembered still when I was young a peasant girl commended by a song, who'd lived somewhere upon that rocky place, and praised the color of her face, and had the greater joy in praising her, remembering that, if walked she there, farmers jostled at the fair, so great a glory did the song confer. And certain men, being maddened by those rhymes, or else by toasting her a score of times, rose from the table and declared it right to test their fancy by their sight, but they mistook the brightness of the moon for the prosaic light of day. Music had driven their wits astray, and one was drowned in the great bog of Clun. Strange, but the man who made the song was blind, yet, now I have considered it, I find that nothing strange. The tragedy began with Homer, that was a blind man, and Helen has all living hearts betrayed. Oh, may the moon and sunlight seem one inextricable beam, for if I triumph I must make men mad. And I myself created Hanrahan and drove him drunk or sober through the dawn from somewhere in the neighboring cottages. Caught by an old man's juggle rise he stumbled, tumbled, fumbled to and fro, and had but broken knees for hire and horrible splendour of desire. I thought it all out 20 years ago. Good fellows shuffled cards in an old bawn, and when that ancient ruffian's turn was on, he so bewitched the cards under his thumb that all, but the one card, became a pack of hounds and not a pack of cards, and that he changed into a hare. Hanrahan rose in frenzy there and followed up those baying creatures towards I have forgotten what. Enough. I must recall a man that neither love nor music nor an enemy's clipped ear could, he was so harried, cheer, a figure that has grown so fabulous there's not a neighbor left to say when he finished his dog's day, an ancient bankrupt master of this house. Before that ruin came, 4 centuries, rough men at arms, cross-gartered to the knees or shod in iron, climbed the narrow stairs, and certain men at arms there were whose images, in the great memory stored, come with loud cry and panting breast to break upon a sleeper's rest while their great wooden dice beat on the board. As I would question all, come all who can, come old, necessitous, half-mounted man, and bring beauty's blind rambling celebrant, the red man the juggler sent through God-forsaken meadows, Mrs. French, gifted with so fine an ear, the man drowned in a bog's mire, when mocking muses chose the country wench. Did all old men and women, rich and poor, who trod upon these rocks or passed this door, whether in public or in secret, rage as I do now against old age? But I have found an answer in those eyes that are impatient to be gone. Go therefore, but leave Hanrahan, for I need all his mighty memories. Old Lecher, with a love on every wind, bring up out of that deep considering mind all that you have discovered in the grave, for it is certain that you have reckoned up every unforeknown, unseeing plunge, lured by a softening eye, or by a touch or a sigh, into the labyrinth of another's being. Does the imagination dwell the most upon a woman won or woman lost? If on the lost, admit you turned aside from a great labyrinth out of pride, cowardice, some silly over-subtle thought, or anything called conscience once, and that if memory recur, the sun's under eclipse and the day blotted out. 3. It is time that I wrote my will. I choose upstanding men, that climb the streams until the fountain leap, and at dawn drop their cast at the side of dripping stone. I declare they shall inherit my pride, the pride of people that were bound neither to cause nor to state, neither to slaves that were spat on, nor to the tyrants that spat, the people of Burke and of Grattan that gave, though free to refuse, pride, like that of the morn, when the headlong light is loose, or that of the fabulous horn, or that of the sudden shower when all streams are dry, or that of the hour when the swan must fix his eye upon a fading gleam, float out upon a long last reach of glittering stream, and there sing his last song. And I declare my faith, I mock Plotinus' thought and cry in Plato's teeth, death and life were not till man made up the whole, made lock, stock and barrel out of his bitter soul, I, sun and moon and star, all, and further add to that, being dead, we rise, dream and so create translunar paradise. I have prepared my peace with learned Italian things and the proud stones of Greece, poets' imaginings and memories of love, memories of the words of women, all those things whereof man makes a superhuman, mirror resembling dream. As at the loophole there, the daws chatter and scream, and drop twigs layer upon layer. When they have mounted up, the mother bird will rest on their hollow top, and so warm her wild nest. I leave both faith and pride to young upstanding men climbing the mountain side, that under bursting dawn they may drop a fly, being of that metal made till it was broken by this sedentary trade. Now shall I make my soul compelling it to study in a learned school till the wreck of body, slow decay of blood, testy delirium, or dull decrepitude, or what worse evil come, the death of friends, or death of every brilliant eye that made a catch in the breath seem but the clouds of the sky when the horizon fades, or a bird's sleepy cry among the deepening shades. 1926 Meditations in time of civil war. Ancestral houses surely among a rich man's flowering lawns, amid the rustle of his planted hills, life overflows without ambitious pains, and rains down life until the basin spills, and mounts more dizzy high the more it rains, as though to choose whatever shape it wills, and never stoop to a mechanical, or servile shape, at others' beck and call. Mere dreams, mere dreams. Yet Homer had not sung had he not found it certain beyond dreams that out of life's own self-delight had sprung the abounding glittering jet, though now it seems as if some marvelous empty seashell flung out of the obscure dark of the rich streams, and not a fountain, were the symbol which shadows the inherited glory of the rich. Some violent bitter man, some powerful man called architect and artist in, that they, bitter and violent men, might rear in stone the sweetness that all longed for night and day, the gentleness none there had ever known, but when the masters buried mice can play, and maybe the great-grandson of that house, for all its bronze and marble, but a mouse. Oh, what if gardens where the peacock strays with delicate feet upon old terraces, or else all Juno from an urn displays before the indifferent garden deities, oh, what if lavelled lawns and gravelled ways where slippered contemplation finds his ease and childhood a delight for every sense, but take our greatness with our violence? What if the glory of escutcheoned doors, and buildings that a haughty age designed, the pacing to and fro on polished floors amid great chambers and long galleries, lined with famous portraits of our ancestors, what if those things the greatest of mankind, consider most to magnify, or to bless, but take our greatness with our bitterness? To my house an ancient bridge, and a more ancient tower, a farmhouse that is sheltered by its wall, an acre of stony ground, where the symbolic rose can break in flower, old ragged elms, old thorns innumerable, the sound of the rain or sound of every wind that blows, the stilted water hen crossing stream again scared by the splashing of a dozen cows, a winding stair, a chamber arched with stone, a grey stone fireplace with an open hearth, a candle, and written page. Il Penseroso's Platonist toiled on in some like chamber, shadowing forth how the demonic rage imagined everything. Benighted travellers from markets and from fairs have seen his midnight candle glimmering. 2 men have found it here. A man at arms gathered a score of horse and spent his days in this tumultuous spot, where through long wars and sudden night alarms his dwindling score and he seemed castaways forgetting and forgot, and I, that after me my bodily heirs may find, to exalt a lonely mind, befitting emblems of adversity. 3 My table 2 heavy trace cells, and a board where Sado's gift, a changeless sword, by pen and paper lies, that it may moralize my days out of their aimlessness. A bit of an embroidered dress covers its wooden sheath. Chaucer had not drawn breath when it was forged. In Sado's house, curved like new moon, moon luminous it lay 500 years. Yet if no change appears, no moon, only an aching heart conceives a changeless work of art. Our learned men have urged that when and where 'twas forged a marvelous accomplishment, in painting, or in pottery, went from father unto son and through the centuries ran and seemed unchanging like the sword. Soul's beauty being most adored, men and their business took the soul's unchanging look, for the most rich inheritor, knowing that none could pass heaven's door that loved inferior art, had such an aching heart that he, although a country's talk for silken clothes and stately walk, had waking wits, it seemed Juno's peacock screamed. For my descendants having inherited a vigorous mind from my old fathers, I must nourish dreams and leave a woman and a man behind as vigorous of mind, and yet it seems life scarce can cast a fragrance on the wind, scarce spread a glory to the morning beams, but the torn petals strew the garden plot, and there's but common greenness after that. And what if my descendants lose the flower through natural declension of the soul, through too much business with the passing hour, through too much play, or marriage with a fool? May this laborious stair and this stark tower become a roofless ruin that the owl may build in the cracked masonry and cry her desolation to the desolate sky. The primum mobile that fashioned us has made the very owls in circles move, and I, that count myself most prosperous, seeing that love and friendship are enough, for an old neighbor's friendship chose the house and decked and altered it for a girl's love, and know whatever flourish and decline these stones remain their monument and mine. The road at my door an affable irregular, a heavily built Falstaffen man, comes cracking jokes of civil war as though to die by gunshot were the finest play under the sun. A brown lieutenant and his men, half dressed in national uniform, stand at my door, and I complain of the foul weather, hail and rain, a pear tree broken by the storm. I count those feathered balls of soot the moorhen guides upon the stream, to silence the envy in my thought, and turn towards my chamber, caught in the cold snows of a dream. 6. The stairs nest by my window the bees build in the crevices of loosening masonry, and there the mother birds bring grubs and flies. My wall is loosening, honey bees come build in the empty house of the stair. We are closed in, and the key is turned on our uncertainty, somewhere a man is killed, or a house burned, yet no clear fact to be discerned, come build in the empty house of the stair. A barricade of stone or of wood, some 14 days of civil war, last night they trundled down the road that dead young soldier in his blood, come build in the empty house of the stair. We had fed the heart on fantasies, the heart's grown brutal from the fair, more substance in our enmities than in our love, oh, honey bees come build in the empty house of the stair. 7. I see phantoms of hatred and of the heart's fullness and of the coming emptiness. I climb to the tower top and lean upon broken stone, a mist that is like blown snow is sweeping over all, valley, river, and elms, under the light of a moon that seems unlike itself, that seems unchangeable, a glittering sword out of the east. A puff of wind and those white glimmering fragments of the mist sweep by. Frenzies bewilder, reveries perturb the mind, monstrous familiar images swim to the mind's eye. Vengeance upon the murderers, the cry goes up, vengeance for Jacques Molay. In cloud-pale rags, or in lace, the rage-driven, rage-tormented, and rage-hungry trooper bellaboring trooper, biding at arm or at face, plunges towards nothing, arms and fingers spreading wide for the embrace of nothing, and I, my wits astray because of all that senseless tumult, all but cried for vengeance on the murderers of Jacques Molay. Their legs long, delicate and slender, aquamarine their eyes, magical unicorns bear ladies on their backs, the ladies close their musing eyes. No prophecies, remembered out of Babylonian almanacs, have closed the ladies' eyes, their minds are but a pool where even longing drowns under its own excess, nothing but stillness can remain when hearts are full of their own sweetness, bodies of their loveliness. The cloud-pale unicorns, the eyes of aquamarine, the quivering half-closed eyelids, the rags of cloud or of lace, or eyes that rage has brightened, arms it has made lean, give place to an indifferent multitude, give place to brazen hawks. Nor self-delighting reverie, nor hate of what's to come, nor pity for what's gone, nothing but grip of claw, and the eye's complacency, the innumerable clanging wings that have put out the moon. I turn away and shut the door, and on the stair wonder how many times I could have proved my worth in something that all others understand or share, but oh, ambitious heart, had such a proof drawn forth a company of friends, a conscience set at ease, it had but made us pine the more. The abstract joy, the half-read wisdom of demonic images, suffice the aging man as once the growing boy. 1923–1919 many ingenious lovely things are gone that seemed sheer miracle to the multitude, protected from the circle of the moon that pitches common things about. There stood amid the ornamental bronze and stone an ancient image made of olive wood, and gone are Phidias' famous ivories and all the golden grasshoppers and bees. We too had many pretty toys when young, a law indifferent to blame or praise, to bribe or threat, habits that made old wrong melt down, as it were wax in the sun's rays, public opinion ripening for so long we thought it would outlive all future days. Oh, what fine thought we had, because we thought that the worst rogues and rascals had died out. All teeth were drawn, all ancient tricks unlearned, and a great army but a showy thing. What matter that no cannon had been turned into a ploughshare? Parliament and king thought that unless a little powder burned the trumpeters might burst with trumpeting, and yet it lack all glory, and perchance the guardsmen's drowsy chargers would not prance. Nowadays are dragon-ridden, the nightmare rides upon sleep, a drunken soldiery can leave the mother, murdered at her door, to crawl in her own blood, and go scot-free. The night can sweat with terror as before we pieced our thoughts into philosophy, and planned to bring the world under a rule, who are but weasels fighting in a hole. He who can read the signs nor sink unmanned into the half-deceit of some intoxicant from shallow wits, who knows no work can stand, whether health, wealth or peace of mind were spent on master work of intellect or hand, no honor leave its mighty monument, has but one comfort left, all triumph would but break upon his ghostly solitude. But is there any comfort to be found? Man is in love and loves what vanishes, what more is there to say? That country round none dared admit, if such a thought were his, incendiary or bigot could be found to burn that stump on the Acropolis, or break in bits the famous ivories, or traffic in the grasshoppers or bees. Too, when Loy Fuller's Chinese dancers enwound a shining web, a floating ribbon of cloth, it seemed that a dragon of air had fallen among dancers, had whirled them round or hurried them off on its own furious path. So the Platonic ear whirls out new right and wrong, whirls in the old instead. All men are dancers, and their tread goes to the barbarous clangor of gong. 3. Some moralist or mythological poet compares the solitary soul to a swan. I am satisfied with that, satisfied if a troubled mirror show it before that brief gleam of its life be gone, an image of its state, the wings half spread for flight, the breast thrust out in pride, whether to play, or to ride those winds that clamour of approaching night. A man in his own secret meditation is lost amid the labyrinth that he has made in art or politics. Some Platonist affirms that in the station where we should cast off body and trade the ancient habit sticks, and that if our works could but vanish with our breath that were a lucky death, for triumph can but mar our solitude. The swan has leaped into the desolate heaven, that image can bring wildness, bring a rage to end all things, to end what my laborious life imagined, even the half-imagined, the half-written page. Oh, but we dreamed to mend whatever mischief seemed to afflict mankind, but now that winds of winter blow, learn that we were crackpate when we dreamed. For we, who 7 years ago talked of honor and of truth, shriek with pleasure if we show the weasel's twist, the weasel's tooth. Come, let us mock at the great that had such burdens on the mind, and toiled so hard and late to leave some monument behind, nor thought of the levelling wind. Come, let us mock at the wise, with all those calendars whereon they fixed old aching eyes. They never saw how seasons run, and now but gape at the sun. Come, let us mock at the good that fancied goodness might be gay, and sick of solitude might proclaim a holiday. Wind shrieked, and where are they? Mock mockers after that would not lift a hand maybe to help good, wise, or great to bar that foul storm out, for we traffic in mockery. 6. Violence upon the roads, violence of horses. Some few have handsome riders, are garlanded on delicate sensitive ear or tossing mane, but wearied running round and round in their courses all break and vanish, and evil gathers head. Herodias' daughters have returned again, a sudden blast of dusty wind, and after thunder of feet, tumult of images, their purpose in the labyrinth of the wind, and should some crazy hand dare touch a daughter, all turn with amorous cries, or angry cries, according to the wind, for all are blind. But now wind drops, dust settles, thereupon there lurches past, his great eyes without thought under the shadow of stupid straw-pale locks, that insolent fiend Robert Artisan, to whom the love-lorn Lady Keitler brought bronzed peacock feathers, red combs of her cocks. 1919 The will through winter time we call on spring, and through the spring on summer call, and when abounding hedges ring declare that winter's best of all, and after that there's nothing good, because the springtime has not come, nor know that what disturbs our blood is but its longing for the tomb. Youth and age much did I rage when young, being by the world oppressed, but now with flattering tongue it speeds the parting guest. 1924 The new faces, if you, that have grown old, were the first dead, neither catalpa tree nor scented lime should hear my living feet, nor would I tread where we wrought that shall break the teeth of time. Let the new faces play what tricks they will in the old rooms, night can outbalance day, our shadows rove the garden gravel still, the living seem more shadowy than they. A prayer for my son, bid a strong ghost stand at the head, that my Michael may sleep sound, nor cry, nor turn in the bed till his morning meal come round, and may departing twilight keep all dread afar till morning's back, that his mother may not lack her fill of sleep. Bid the ghost have sword in fist, some there are, for I avow such devilish things exist, who have planned his murder, for they know of some most haughty deed or thought that waits upon his future days, and would through hatred of the bays bring that to naught. Though you can fashion everything from nothing every day, and teach the morning stars to sing, you have lacked articulate speech to tell your simplest want, and known, wailing upon a woman's knee, all of that worst ignominy of flesh and bone, and when through all the town there ran the servants of your enemy, a woman and a man, unless the holy writings lie, hurried through the smooth and rough and through the fertile and waste, protecting, till the danger passed, with human love. Two songs from a play. I saw a staring virgin stand where holy Dionysus died, and tear the heart out of his side, and lay the heart upon her hand and bear that beating heart away, and then did all the muses sing of Magnus Annus at the spring, as though God's death were but a play. Another Troy must rise and set, another lineage feed the crow, another Argos painted prow drive to a flashier bauble yet. The Roman Empire stood appalled, it dropped the reins of peace and war when that fierce virgin and her star out of the fabulous darkness called. Too in pity for man's darkening thought he walked that room and issued thence in Galilean turbulence, the Babylonian starlight brought a fabulous, formless darkness in, odor of blood when Christ was slain made Plato's tolerance in vain and vain the Doric discipline. Wisdom the true faith discovered was when painted panel, statuary, glass mosaic, window glass, straightened all that went awry when some peasant gospeler imagined him upon the floor of a working carpenter. Miracle had its playtime where in damask clothed and on a seat, chryselephanthine, cedar boarded, his majestic mother sat stitching at a purple hoarded, that he might be nobly breeched, in starry towers of Babylon Noah's freshet never reached. King Abundance got him on innocence, and wisdom he. That cognomen sounded best considering what wild infancy drove horror from his mother's breast. Leda and the swan a sudden blow, the great wings beating still above the staggering girl, her thighs caressed by the dark webs, her nape caught in his bill, he holds her helpless breast upon his breast. How can those terrified vague fingers push the feathered glory from her loosening thighs? And how can body, laid in that white rush but feel the strange heart beating where it lies? A shudder in the loins engenders there the broken wall, the burning roof and tower and Agamemnon dead. Being so caught up, so mastered by the brute blood of the air, did she put on his knowledge with his power before the indifferent beak could let her drop? 1928 On a picture of a black centaur by Edmund Dulac. Your hooves have stamped at the black margin of the wood, even where horrible green parrots call and swing. My works are all stamped down into the sultry mud. I knew that horseplay, knew it for a murderous thing. What wholesome sun has ripened is wholesome food to eat, and that alone, yet I, being driven half insane because of some green wing, gathered old mummy wheat in the mad abstract dark and ground it grain by grain and after baked it slowly in an oven, but now I bring full flavored wine out of a barrel found where 7 Ephesian topers slept and never knew when Alexander's empire passed, they slept so sound. Stretch out your limbs and sleep a long Saturnian sleep, I have loved you better than my soul for all my words, and there is none so fit to keep a watch and keep unwearied eyes upon those horrible green birds. Among school children I walk through the long schoolroom questioning, a kind old nun in a white hood replies, the children learn to cipher and to sing, to study reading books and history, to cut and sew, be neat in everything in the best modern way. The children's eyes in momentary wonder stare upon a 60-year-old smiling public man. 2. I dream of a Lydian body, bent above a sinking fire, a tale that she told of a harsh reproof, or trivial event that changed some childish day to tragedy told, and it seemed that our two natures blent into a sphere from youthful sympathy, or else, to alter Plato's parable, into the yolk and white of the one shell. 3. And thinking of that fit of grief or rage I look upon one child or t'other there and wonder if she stood so at that age, for even daughters of the swan can share something of every paddler's heritage and had that color upon cheek or hair, and thereupon my heart is driven wild, she stands before me as a living child. For her present image floats into the mind, did Quattrocento finger fashion it hollow of cheek as though it drank the wind and took a mass of shadows for its meat? And I, though never of Lydian kind, had pretty plumage once enough of that, better to smile on all that smile, and show there is a comfortable kind of old scarecrow. What youthful mother, a shape upon her lap honey of generation had betrayed, and that must sleep, shriek, struggle to escape as recollection or the drug decide, would think her son, did she but see that shape with 60 or more winters on its head, a compensation for the pang of his birth, or the uncertainty of his setting forth. 6. Plato thought nature but a spume that plays upon a ghostly paradigm of things, solider Aristotle played the tawse upon the bottom of a king of kings, world-famous golden-thighed Pythagoras fingered upon a fiddlestick or strings what a star sang and careless muses heard, old clothes upon old sticks to scare a bird. 7. Both nuns and mothers worship images, but those the candles light are not as those that animate a mother's reveries, but keep a marble or a bronze repose. And yet they too break hearts, O presences that passion, piety, or affection knows, and that all heavenly glory symbolize, O self-born mockers of man's enterprise. 8. Labor is blossoming or dancing where the body is not bruised to pleasure soul, nor beauty born out of its own despair, nor blear-eyed wisdom out of midnight oil. O chestnut tree, great rooted blossomer, are you the leaf, the blossom, or the bowl? O body swayed to music, O brightening glance, how can we know the dancer from the dance? Colonus praise, from Oedipus et Colonus, chorus come praise Colonus horses and come praise the wine dark of the wood's intricacies, the nightingale that deafens daylight there, if daylight ever visit where, unvisited by tempest or by sun, immortal ladies tread the ground dizzy with harmonious sound, Semele's lad a gay companion. And yonder in the gymnast's garden thrives the self-sown, self-begotten shape that gives Athenian intellect its mastery, even the grey-leaved olive tree miracle bred out of the living stone, nor accident of peace nor war shall wither that old marvel, for the great grey-eyed Athene stares thereon. Who comes into this country, and has come where golden crocus and narcissus bloom, where the great mother, mourning for her daughter and beauty drunken by the water glittering among grey-leaved olive trees, has plucked a flower and sung her loss, who finds abounding Cephasus has found the loveliest spectacle there is. Because this country has a pious mind and so remembers that when all mankind but trod the road, or paddled by the shore, Poseidon gave it bit and oar, every colonist lad or lass discourses of that oar and of that bit, summer and winter, day and night, of horses and horses of the sea, white horses. The hero, the girl, and the fool the girl I rage at my own image in the glass, that's so unlike myself that when you praise it it is as though you praised another, or even mocked me with praise of my mere opposite, and when I wake towards morn I dread myself for the heart cries that what deception wins cruelty must keep, therefore be warned and go if you have seen that image and not the woman. The hero I have raged at my own strength because you have loved it. The girl if you are no more strength than I am beauty I had better find a convent and turn nun, a nun at least has all men's reverence and needs no cruelty. The hero I have heard one say that men have reverence for their holiness and not themselves. The girl say on and say that only God has loved us for ourselves, but what care I that long for a man's love? The fool by the roadside when my days that have from cradle run to grave from grave to cradle run instead, when thoughts that a fool has wound upon a spool are but loose thread, are but loose thread. When cradle and spool are past and I mere shade at last coagulate of stuff transparent like the wind, I think that I may find a faithful love, a faithful love. Oh, in Ahern and his dancers a strange thing surely that my heart when love had come unsought upon the Norman upland or in that poplar shade, should find no burden but itself and yet should be worn out. It could not bear that burden and therefore it went mad. The south wind brought it longing, and the east wind despair, the west wind made it pitiful, and the north wind afraid. It feared to give its love a hurt with all the tempest there, it feared the hurt that she could give and therefore it went mad. I can exchange opinion with any neighboring mind, I have as healthy flesh and blood as any rhymers had, but oh my heart could bear no more when the upland caught the wind, I ran, from my love's side because my heart went mad. To the heart behind its rib laughed out, you have called me mad, it said. Because I made you turn away and run from that young child, how could she mate with 50 years that was so wildly bred? Let the cage bird and the cage bird mate and the wild bird mate in the wild. You but imagine lies all day, O murderer, I replied. And all those lies have but one end poor wretches to betray, I did not find in any cage the woman at my side. Oh but her heart would break to learn my thoughts are far away. Speak all your mind, my heart sang out, speak all your mind, who cares, now that your tongue cannot persuade the child till she mistake her childish gratitude for love and match your 50 years. Oh let her choose a young man now and all for his wild sake. A man young and old first love though nurtured like the sailing moon in beauty's murderous brood, she walked a while and blushed a while and on my pathway stood until I thought her body bore a heart of flesh and blood. But since I laid a hand thereon and found a heart of stone I have attempted many things and not a thing is done, for every hand is lunatic that travels on the moon. She smiled and that transfigured me and left me but a lout, maundering here, and maundering there, emptier of thought than heavenly circuit of its stars when the moon sails out. Human dignity like the moon her kindness is, if kindness I may call what has no comprehension in tea, but is the same for all as though my sorrow were a scene upon a painted wall. So like a bit of stone I lie under a broken tree. I could recover if I shrieked my heart's agony to passing bird, but I am dumb from human dignity. The mermaid a mermaid found a swimming lad, picked him for her own, pressed her body to his body, laughed, and plunging down forgot in cruel happiness that even lovers drown. The death of the hare I have pointed out the yelling pack, the hare leaped to the wood, and when I pass a compliment rejoice as lover should at the drooping of an eye at the mantling of the blood. Then suddenly my heart is wrung by her distracted air and I remember wildness lost and after, swept from there, am set down standing in the wood at the death of the hare. The empty cup a crazy man that found a cup, when all but dead of thirst, hardly dared to wet his mouth, imagining, moon accursed, that another mouthful and his beating heart would burst. October last I found it too, but found it dry as bone, and for that reason am I crazed and my sleep is gone. His memories we should be hidden from their eyes, being but holy shows and bodies broken like a thorn whereon the bleak north blows, to think of buried Hector and that none living knows. The women take so little stock in what I do or say, they'd sooner leave their cosseting to hear a jackass bray. My arms are like the twisted thorn and yet their beauty lay, the first of all the tribe lay there, and did such pleasure take she who had brought great Hector down and put all Troy to wreck, that she cried into this ear, strike me if I shriek. The friends of his youth laughter not time destroyed my voice and put that crack in it, and when the moon's pot-bellied I get a laughing fit, for that old Madge comes down the lane, a stone upon her breast, and a cloak wrapped about the stone, and she can get no rest with singing hush and hush a by. She that has been wild and barren as a breaking wave thinks that the stone's a child. And Peter that had great affairs and was a pushing man shrieks, I am king of the peacocks, and perches on a stone, and then I laugh till tears run down and the heart thumps at my side, remembering that her shriek was love and that he shrieks from pride. Summer and spring we sat under an old thorn tree and talked away the night, told all that had been said or done since first we saw the light, and when we talked of growing up knew that we'd have the soul and fell the one in t'other's arms that we might make it whole. Then Peter had a murdering look, for it seemed that he and she had spoken of their childish days under that very tree. Oh, what a bursting out there was, and what a blossoming, when we had all the summer time and she had all the spring. The secrets of the old, I have old women's secrets now that had those of the young. Madge tells me what I dared not think when my blood was strong, and what had drowned a lover once sounds like an old song. Though Marjorie is stricken dumb if thrown in Madge's way, we three make up a solitude, for none alive today can know the stories that we know or say the things we say, how such a man pleased women most of all that are gone, how such a pair loved many years and such a pair but one, stories of the bed of straw or the bed of down. His wildness, oh, bid me mount and sail up there amid the cloudy wrack, for Peg and Meg and Paris love that had so straight a back, are gone away, and some that stay, have changed their silk for sack. Were I but there and none to hear, I'd have a peacock cry, for that is natural to a man that lives in memory. Being all alone I'd nurse a stone and sing it lullaby. The three monuments they hold their public meetings where our most renowned patriots stand, one among the birds of the air, a stump ear on either hand, and all the popular statesmen say that purity built up the state and after kept it from decay, admonish us to cling to that and let all base ambition be, for intellect would make us proud and pride bring in impurity. The three old rascals laugh aloud. From Oedipus at Colonus I endure what life God gives and ask no longer span, cease to remember the delights of youth, travel-wearied aged man, cease to remember the delights of youth, travel-wearied aged man, delight becomes death longing if all longing else be vain. 2 Even from that delight memory treasures sow, death, despair, division of families, all entanglements of mankind grow, as that old wandering beggar and these God-hated children know. 3 In the long echoing street the laughing dancers throng, the bride is carried to the bridegroom's chamber through torchlight and tumultuous song, I celebrate the silent kiss that ends short life or long. 4 Never to have lived is best, ancient writers say, never to have drawn the breath of life, never to have looked into the eye of day, the second best's a gay good night and quickly turn away. The gift of Harun al-Rashid Kusta ben Luca is my name, I write to Abd al-Rabban, fellow roisterer once, now the good caliph's learned treasurer, and for no ear but his. Carry this letter through the great gallery of the treasure house where banners of the caliphs hang, night-colored but brilliant as the night's embroidery, and wait war's music, pass the little gallery, pass books of learning from Byzantium written in gold upon a purple stain, and pause at last. I was about to say, at the great book of Sappho's song, but no, for should you leave my letter there, a boy's lovelorn, indifferent hands might come upon it and let it fall unnoticed to the floor. Pause at the treatise of Parmenides and hide it there, for caliphs to world's end must keep that perfect, as they keep her song so great its fame. When fitting time has passed, the parchment will disclose to some learned man a mystery that else had found no chronicler but the wild Bedouin. Though I approve those wanderers that welcomed in their tents what great Harun al-Rashid, occupied with Persian embassy or Grecian war, must needs neglect, I cannot hide the truth that wandering in a desert, featureless as air under a wing, can give birds wit. In after time they will speak much of me and speak but fantasy. Recall the year when our beloved Caliph put to death his vizier Jafar for an unknown reason. If but the shirt upon my body knew it, I'd tear it off and throw it in the fire. That speech was all that the town knew, but he seemed for a while to have grown young again, seemed so on purpose, muttered Jafar's friends, that none might know that he was conscience struck, but that's a traitor's thought. Enough for me that in the early summer of the year the mightiest of the princes of the world came to the least considered of his courtiers, sat down upon the fountain's marble edge, one hand amid the goldfish in the pool, and thereupon a colloquy took place that I commend to all the chroniclers to show how violent great hearts can lose their bitterness and find the honeycomb. I have brought a slender bride into the house, you know the saying, change the bride with spring, and she and I, being sunk in happiness, cannot endure to think you tread these paths, when evening stirs the jasmine, and yet are brideless. I am falling into years. But such as you and I do not seem old, like men who live by habit. Every day I ride with falcon to the river's edge, or carry the ringed mail upon my back, or court a woman. Neither enemy, game bird, nor woman does the same thing twice, and so a hunter carries in the eye a mimicry of youth. Can poets thought that springs from body and in body falls like this pure jet, now lost amid blue sky, now bathing lily leaf and fish's scale, be mimicry? What matter if our souls are nearer to the surface of the body than souls that start no game and turn no rhyme? The soul's own youth and not the body's youth shows through our lineaments. My candle's bright, my lantern is too loyal not to show that it was made in your great father's reign. And yet the jasmine season warms our blood. Great prince, forgive the freedom of my speech, you think that love has seasons, and you think that if the spring bear off what the spring gave, the heart need suffer no defeat, but I who have accepted the Byzantine faith, that seems unnatural to Arabian minds, think when I choose a bride I choose forever, and if her eye should not grow bright for mine, or brighten only for some younger eye, my heart could never turn from daily ruin, nor find a remedy. But what if I have lit upon a woman, who so shares your thirst for those old crabbed mysteries, so strains to look beyond our life, an eye that never knew that strain would scarce seem bright, and yet herself can seem youth's very fountain, being all brimmed with life? Were it but true, I would have found the best that life can give, companionship in those mysterious things that make a man's soul or a woman's soul itself and not some other soul. That love must needs be in this life and in what follows unchanging and at peace, and it is right every philosopher should praise that love. But I, being none, can praise its opposite. It makes my passion stronger but to think like passion stirs the peacock and his mate, the wild stag and the doe, that mouth to mouth is a man's mockery of the changeless soul. And thereupon his bounty gave what now can shake more blossom from autumnal chill than all my bursting springtime knew. A girl perched in some window of her mother's house had watched my daily passage to and fro, had heard impossible history of my past, imagined some impossible history lived at my side, thought time's disfiguring touch gave but more reason for a woman's care. Yet was it love of me, or was it love of the stark mystery that has dazed my sight, perplexed her fantasy and planned her care? Or did the torchlight of that mystery pick out my features in such light and shade two contemplating passions chose one theme through sheer bewilderment? She had not paced the garden paths, nor counted up the rooms, before she had spread a book upon her knees and asked about the pictures or the text, and often those first days I saw her stare on old dry writing in a learned tongue, on old dry faggots that could never please the extravagance of spring, or move a hand as if that writing or the figured page were some dear cheek. Upon a moonless night I sat where I could watch her sleeping form, and wrote by candle-light, but her form moved, and fearing that my light disturbed her sleep I rose that I might screen it with a cloth. I heard her voice, "Turn that I may expound what's 'bout your shoulder and made pale your cheek," and saw her sitting upright on the bed, or was it she that spoke or some great jinn? I say that a jinn spoke. A livelong hour she seemed the learned man and I the child, truths without father came, truths that no book of all the uncounted books that I have read, nor thought out of her mind or mine begot, self-born, high-born, and solitary truths, those terrible implacable straight lines drawn through the wandering vegetative dream, even those truths that when my bones are dust must drive the Arabian host. The voice grew still, and she lay down upon her bed and slept, but woke at the first gleam of day, rose up and swept the house and sang about her work in childish ignorance of all that passed. A dozen nights of natural sleep, and then when the full moon swam to its greatest height she rose, and with her eyes shut fast in sleep walked through the house. Unnoticed and unfelt I wrapped her in a heavy hooded cloak, and she, half running, dropped at the first ridge of the desert and there marked out those emblems on the sand that day by day I study and marvel at, with her white finger. I led her home asleep and once again she rose and swept the house in childish ignorance of all that passed. Even today, after some 7 years when maybe thrice in every moon her mouth murmured the wisdom of the desert jinns, she keeps that ignorance, nor has she now that first unnatural interest in my books. It seems enough that I am there, and yet old fellow student, whose most patient ear heard all the anxiety of my passionate youth, it seems I must buy knowledge with my peace. What if she lose her ignorance and so dream that I love her only for the voice, that every gift and every word of praise is but a payment for that midnight voice that is to age what milk is to a child? Were she to lose her love, because she had lost her confidence in mine, or even lose its first simplicity, love, voice, and all my fine feathers would be plucked away and I left shivering. The voice has drawn a quality of wisdom from her love's particular quality. The signs and shapes, all those abstractions that you fancied were from the great treatise of Parmenides, all those gyres and cubes and midnight things are but a new expression of her body drunk with the bitter sweetness of her youth. And now my utmost mystery is out. A woman's beauty is a storm-tossed banner, under it wisdom stands, and I alone of all Arabia's lovers I alone nor dazzled by the embroidery, nor lost in the confusion of its night-dark folds, can hear the armed man speak. 1923 All Souls' Night. An epilogue to a vision. Midnight has come and the great Christ Church bell, and may a lesser bell, sound through the room, and it is All Souls' Night, and 2 long glasses brimmed with muscatel bubble upon the table. A ghost may come, for it is a ghost's right, his element is so fine being sharpened by his death, to drink from the wine breath while our gross palates drink from the whole wine. I need some mind that, if the cannon sound from every quarter of the world, can stay wound in mind's pondering, as mummies in the mummy cloth are wound, because I have a marvelous thing to say, a certain marvelous thing none but the living mock, though not for sober ear, it may be all that here should laugh and weep an hour upon the clock. H.S. the first I call. He loved strange thought and knew that sweet extremity of pride that's called Platonic love, and that to such a pitch of passion wrought nothing could bring him, when his lady died, anodyne for his love. Words were but wasted breath, one dear hope had he, the inclemency of that or the next winter would be death. 2 thoughts were so mixed up I could not tell whether of her or God he thought the most, but think that his mind's eye, when upward turned, on one sole image fell, and that a slight companionable ghost, wild with divinity, had so lit up the whole immense miraculous house the Bible promised us, it seemed a goldfish swimming in a bowl. On Florence Emery I call the next, who finding the first wrinkles on a face admired and beautiful, and knowing that the future would be vexed with minished beauty, multiplied commonplace, preferred to teach a school, away from neighbor or friend among dark skins, and there permit foul years to wear hidden from eyesight to the unnoticed end. Before that end much had she ravelled out from a discourse in figurative speech by some learned Indian on the soul's journey. How it is whirled about, wherever the orbit of the moon can reach, until it plunge into the sun, and there, free and yet fast being both chance and choice, forget its broken toys and sink into its own delight at last. And I call up MacGregor from the grave, for in my first hard springtime we were friends, although of late estranged. I thought him half a lunatic, half knave, and told him so, but friendship never ends, and what if mind seemed changed, and it seemed changed with the mind, when thoughts rise up unbid on generous things that he did, and I grow half contented to be blind. He had much industry at setting out, much boisterous courage, before loneliness had driven him crazed, for meditations upon unknown thought make human intercourse grow less and less, they are neither paid nor praised. But he'd object to the host, the glass, because my glass, a ghost lover he was and may have grown more arrogant being a ghost. But names are nothing. What matter who it be, so that his elements have grown so fine the fume of muscatel can give his sharpened palate ecstasy no living man can drink from the whole wine. I have mummy truths to tell whereat the living mock, though not for sober ear, for maybe all that hear should laugh and weep an hour upon the clock. Such thought have I that hold it tight till meditation master all its parts, nothing can stay my glance until that glance run in the world's despite to where the damned have howled away their hearts, and where the blessed dance, such thought, that in it bound I need no other thing wound in mind's wandering, as mummies in the mummy cloth are wound. Note sailing to Byzantium stanza 4. I have read somewhere that in the emperor's palace at Byzantium was a tree made of gold and silver, and artificial birds that sang. The Tower. Part 2. The persons mentioned are associated by legend, story, and tradition with the neighborhood of the or Balliol Castle, where the poem was written. Mrs. French lived at Peterswell in the 18th century and was related to Sir Jonah Barrington, who described the incident of the ear and the trouble that came of it. The peasant beauty and the blind poet are Mary Hines and Raftery, and the incident of the man drowned in Clunbog is recorded in My Celtic Twilight. Hanrahan's pursuit of the phantom hare and hounds is from my stories of Red Hanrahan. The ghosts have been seen at their game of dice in what is now my bedroom, and the old bankrupt man lived about 100 years ago. According to one legend he could only leave the castle upon a Sunday because of his creditors, and according to another he hid in the secret passage. The Tower. Part 3. In the passage about the swan I have unconsciously echoed one of the loveliest lyrics of our time, Mr. Sturge Moore's Dying Swan. I often recited it during an American lecturing tour, which explains the theft. The dying swan, O silver-throat swan, struck. A golden dart clean through thy breast has gone home to thy heart. Thrill, O silver throat. O silver trumpet, pour love for defiance back on him who smote. And brim o'er with love, and ruby dye thy track down thy last living reach of river, sail the golden light, enter the sun's heart, even teach, O wondrous gifted pain, teach thou the god to love, let him learn how. When I wrote the lines about Plato and Plotinus I forgot that it is something in our own eyes that makes us see them as all transcendence. Has not Plotinus written, let every soul recall, then, at the outset the truth that soul is the author of all living things, that it has breathed the life into them all, whatever is nourished by earth and sea, all the creatures of the air, the divine stars in the sky, it is the maker of the sun, itself formed and ordered this vast heaven and conducts all that rhythmic motion, and it is a principle distinct from all these to which it gives law and movement and life, and it must of necessity be more honorable than they, for they gather or dissolve as soul brings them life or abandons them, but soul, since it never can abandon itself, is of eternal being. Meditations in time of civil war. These poems were written at Thorballey in 1922, during the Civil War. Before they were finished, the Republicans blew up our ancient bridge one midnight. They forbade us to leave the house, but were otherwise polite, even saying at last good night, thank you, as though we had given them the bridge. Section 6. In the west of Ireland we call a starling a stair, and during the Civil War one built in a hole in the masonry by my bedroom window. Section 7, stanza 2. The cry vengeance on the murderers of Jacques Molay, Grand Master of the Templars, seems to me fit symbol for those who labor from hatred, and so for sterility in various kinds. It is said to have been incorporated in the ritual of certain Masonic societies of the 18th century, and to have fed class hatred. Section 7, stanza 4. I have a ring with a hawk and a butterfly upon it, to symbolize the straight road of logic, and so of mechanism, and the crooked road of intuition, for wisdom is a butterfly and not a gloomy bird of prey. 1919. Section 6. The country people see at times certain apparitions whom they name now fallen angels, now ancient inhabitants of the country, and describe as riding at whiles with flowers upon the heads of the horses. I have assumed in the 6th poem that these horsemen, now that the times worsen, give way to worse. My last symbol, Robert Artisan, was an evil spirit much run after in Kilkenny at the start of the 14th century. Are not those who travel in the whirling dust also in the Platonic year? 2 songs from a play. These songs are sung by the chorus in a play that has for its theme Christ's first appearance to the apostles after the resurrection, a play intended for performance in a drawing room or studio. Among school children. Stanza 3. I have taken the honey of generation from Porphyry's essay on the cave of the nymphs, but find no warrant in Porphyry for considering it the drug that destroys the recollection of prenatal freedom. He blamed a cup of oblivion given in the zodiacal sign of Cancer. The Gift of Harun al-Rashid, part of an unfinished set of poems, dialogues, and stories about John Ahern and Michael Robarts, Custa ben Luca, a philosopher of Baghdad, and his Bedouin followers. The End, printed in Great Britain by R&R Clark, Limited, Edinburgh. End of the Project Gutenberg ebook. The Tower updated editions will replace the previous one. The old editions will be renamed. Creating the works from print editions not protected by U.S. copyright law means that no one owns a United States copyright in these works, so the Foundation, and you, can copy and distribute it in the United States without permission and without paying copyright royalties. Special rules, set forth in the general terms of use part of this license, apply to copying and distributing Project Gutenberg trademark electronic works to protect the Project Gutenberg trademark concept and trademark. Project Gutenberg is a registered trademark, and may not be used if you charge for an ebook, except by following the terms of the trademark license, including paying royalties for use of the Project Gutenberg trademark. If you do not charge anything for copies of this ebook, complying with the trademark license is very easy. You may use this ebook for nearly any purpose, such as creation of derivative works, reports, performances, and research. Project Gutenberg ebooks may be modified and printed and given away. You may do practically anything in the United States with ebooks not protected by U.S. copyright law. Redistribution is subject to the trademark license, especially commercial redistribution. Start, full license. The full Project Gutenberg license. Please read this before you distribute or use this work to protect the Project Gutenberg trademark mission of promoting the free distribution of electronic works, by using or distributing this work, or any other work associated in any way with the phrase Project Gutenberg. you agree to comply with all the terms of the full Project Gutenberg trademark license available with this file or online at www.gutenberg.org/license. Section 1. General Terms of Use and Redistributing Project Gutenberg Trademark Electronic Works 1.a. By reading or using any part of this Project Gutenberg trademark electronic work, you indicate that you have read, understand, agree to and accept all the terms of this license and intellectual property, trademark/copyright, agreement. If you do not agree to abide by all the terms of this agreement, you must cease using and return or destroy all copies of Project Gutenberg trademark electronic works in your possession. If you paid a fee for obtaining a copy of or access to a Project Gutenberg trademark electronic work and you do not agree to be bound by the terms of this agreement, you may obtain a refund from the person or entity to whom you paid the fee as set forth in paragraph 1.e.8. 1.b Project Gutenberg is a registered trademark. It may only be used on or associated in any way with an electronic work by people who agree to be bound by the terms of this agreement. There are a few things that you can do with most Project Gutenberg trademark electronic works even without complying with the full terms of this agreement. See paragraph 1.c below. There are a lot of things you can do with Project Gutenberg trademark electronic works if you follow the terms of this agreement and help preserve free future access to Project Gutenberg trademark electronic works. See paragraph 1.e below. 1.c. The Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, the Foundation or PGLOF, owns a compilation copyright in the collection of Project Gutenberg trademark electronic works. Nearly all the individual works in the collection are in the public domain in the United States. If an individual work is unprotected by copyright law in the United States and you are located in the United States, we do not claim a right to prevent you from copying, distributing, performing, displaying, or creating derivative works based on the work as long as all references to Project Gutenberg are removed. Of course, we hope that you will support the Project Gutenberg trademark mission of promoting free access to electronic works by freely sharing Project Gutenberg trademark works in compliance with the terms of this agreement for keeping the Project Gutenberg trademark name associated with the work. You can easily comply with the terms of this agreement by keeping this work in the same format with its attached full Project Gutenberg trademark license when you share it without charge with others. 1.d. The copyright laws of the place where you are located also govern what you can do with this work. Copyright laws in most countries are in a constant state of change. If you are outside the United States, check the laws of your country in addition to the terms of this agreement before downloading, copying, displaying, performing, distributing or creating derivative works based on this work or any other Project Gutenberg trademark work. The Foundation makes no representations concerning the copyright status of any work in any country other than the United States. 1.e Unless you have removed all references to Project Gutenberg, 1.e.1. The following sentence, with active links to, or other immediate access to, the full Project Gutenberg trademark license must appear prominently whenever any copy of a Project Gutenberg trademark work, any work on which the phrase Project Gutenberg appears, or with which the phrase Project Gutenberg is associated, is accessed, displayed, performed, viewed, copied or distributed. This ebook is for the use of anyone anywhere in the United States and most other parts of the world at no cost and with almost no restrictions whatsoever. You may copy it, give it away or reuse it under the terms of the Project Gutenberg license included with this ebook or online at www.gutenberg.org. If you are not located in the United States, you will have to check the laws of the country where you are located before using this ebook. 1.e.2. If an individual Project Gutenberg trademark electronic work is derived from texts not protected by U.S. copyright law, does not contain a notice indicating that it is posted with permission of the copyright holder, the work can be copied and distributed to anyone in the United States without paying any fees or charges. If you are redistributing or providing access to a work with the phrase Project Gutenberg associated with or appearing on the work, you must comply either with the requirements of paragraphs 1.e.1 through 1.e.7 or obtain permission for the use of the work and the Project Gutenberg trademark as set forth in paragraphs 1.e.8 or 1.e.9. 1.e.3. If an individual Project Gutenberg trademark electronic work is posted with the permission of the copyright holder, your use and distribution must comply with both paragraphs 1.e.1 through 1.e.7 and any additional terms imposed by the copyright holder. Additional terms will be linked to the Project Gutenberg trademark license for all works posted with the permission of the copyright holder found at the beginning of this work. 1.e.4. Do not unlink or detach or remove the full Project Gutenberg trademark license terms from this work, or any files containing a part of this work or any other work associated with Project Gutenberg trademark. 1.e.5. Do not copy, display, perform, distribute or redistribute this electronic work, or any part of this electronic work, without prominently displaying the sentence set forth in paragraph 1.e.1 with active links or immediate access to the full terms of the Project Gutenberg trademark license. 1.e.6. You may convert to and distribute this work in any binary, compressed, marked up, non-proprietary or proprietary form, including any word processing or hypertext form. However, if you provide access to or distribute copies of a Project Gutenberg trademark work in a format other than plain vanilla ASCII or other format used in the official version posted on the official Project Gutenberg trademark website, www.gutenberg.org, you must, at no additional cost, fee, or expense to the user, provide a copy, a means of exporting a copy, or a means of obtaining a copy upon request, of the work in its original plain vanilla ASCII or other form. Any alternate format must include the full Project Gutenberg trademark license as specified in paragraph 1.e.1. 1.e.7. Do not charge a fee for access to, viewing, displaying, performing, copying or distributing any Project Gutenberg trademark works unless you comply with paragraph 1.e.8 or 1.e.9. 1.e.8. You may charge a reasonable fee for copies of or providing access to or distributing Project Gutenberg trademark electronic works provided that, you pay a royalty fee of 20% of the gross profits you derive from the use of Project Gutenberg trademark works calculated using the method you already use to calculate your applicable taxes. The fee is owed to the owner of the Project Gutenberg trademark, but he has agreed to donate royalties under this paragraph to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. Royalty payments must be paid within 60 days following each date on which you prepare, or are legally required to prepare, your periodic tax returns. Royalty payments should be clearly marked as such and sent to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation at the address specified in Section 4, Information about donations to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. You provide a full refund of any money paid by a user who notifies you in writing, or by email, within 30 days of receipt that he does not agree to the terms of the full Project Gutenberg trademark license. You must require such a user to return or destroy all copies of the works possessed in a physical medium and discontinue all use of and all access to other copies of Project Gutenberg trademark works. You provide, in accordance with paragraph 1.f.3, a full refund of any money paid for a work or a replacement copy, if a defect in the electronic work is discovered and reported to you within 90 days of receipt of the work. You comply with all other terms of this agreement for free distribution of Project Gutenberg trademark works. 1.e.9. If you wish to charge a fee or distribute a Project Gutenberg trademark electronic work or group of works on different terms than are set forth in this agreement, you must obtain permission in writing from the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, the manager of the Project Gutenberg trademark. Contact the Foundation as set forth in Section 3 below. 1.f1.f.1. Project Gutenberg volunteers and employees expend considerable effort to identify, do copyright research on, transcribe and proofread works not protected by U.S. copyright law in creating the Project Gutenberg trademark collection. Despite these efforts, Project Gutenberg trademark electronic works, and the medium on which they may be stored, may contain defects, such as, but not limited to, incomplete, inaccurate or corrupt data, transcription errors, a copyright or other intellectual property infringement, a defective or damaged disk or other medium, a computer virus, or computer codes that damage or cannot be read by your equipment. 1.f.2. Limited warranty, disclaimer of damages, except for the right of replacement or refund described in paragraph 1.f.3, the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, the owner of the Project Gutenberg trademark, and any other party distributing a Project Gutenberg trademark electronic work under this agreement, disclaim all liability to you for damages, costs, and expenses, including legal fees. You agree that you have no remedies for negligence, strict liability, breach of warranty or breach of contract except those provided in paragraph 1.f.3. You agree that the Foundation, the trademark owner, and any distributor under this agreement will not be liable to you for actual, direct, indirect, consequential, punitive, or incidental damages even if you give notice of the possibility of such damage. 1.f.3. Limited right of replacement or refund. If you discover a defect in this electronic work within 90 days of receiving it, you can receive a refund of the money, if any, you paid for it by sending a written explanation to the person you received the work from. If you received the work on a physical medium, you must return the medium with your written explanation. The person or entity that provided you with the defective work may elect to provide a replacement copy in lieu of a refund. If you received the work electronically, the person or entity providing it to you may choose to give you a second opportunity to receive the work electronically in lieu of a refund. If the second copy is also defective, you may demand a refund in writing without further opportunities to fix the problem. 1.f.4. Except for the limited right of replacement or refund set forth in paragraph 1.f.3, this work is provided to you as is, with no other warranties of any kind, express or implied, including but not limited to warranties of merchantability or fitness for any purpose. 1.f.5. Some states do not allow disclaimers of certain implied warranties or the exclusion or limitation of certain types of damages. If any disclaimer or limitation set forth in this agreement violates the law of the state applicable to this agreement, the agreement shall be interpreted to make the maximum disclaimer or limitation permitted by the applicable state law. The invalidity or unenforceability of any provision of this agreement shall not void the remaining provisions. 1.f.6. Indemnity. You agree to indemnify and hold the Foundation, the trademark owner, any agent or employee of the Foundation, anyone providing copies of Project Gutenberg trademark electronic works in accordance with this agreement, and any volunteers associated with the production, promotion, and distribution of Project Gutenberg trademark electronic works, harmless from all liability, costs, and expenses, including legal fees, that arise directly or indirectly from any of the following which you do or cause to occur. A. Distribution of this or any Project Gutenberg trademark work. B. Alteration, modification, or additions or deletions to any Project Gutenberg trademark work. And C. Any defect you cause. Section 2. Information about the mission of Project Gutenberg trademark. Project Gutenberg trademark is synonymous with the free distribution of electronic works in formats readable by the widest variety of computers, including obsolete, old, middle-aged, and new computers. It exists because of the efforts of hundreds of volunteers and donations from people in all walks of life. Volunteers and financial support to provide volunteers with the assistance they need are critical to reaching Project Gutenberg trademark's goals and ensuring that the Project Gutenberg trademark collection will remain freely available for generations to come. In 2001, the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation was created to provide a secure and permanent future for Project Gutenberg trademark and future generations. To learn more about the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation and how your efforts and donations can help, see sections 3 and 4 and the Foundation information page at www.gutenberg.org. Section 3. Information about the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. The Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation is a non-profit 501(c)(3) educational corporation organized under the laws of the state of Mississippi and granted tax-exempt status by the Internal Revenue Service. The Foundation's IN or Federal Tax Identification Number is 64-6221541. Contributions to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation are tax-deductible to the full extent permitted by U.S. federal laws and your state's laws. The Foundation's business office is located at 809 North 1500 West, Salt Lake City, Utah 841-16801-596-1887. Email contact links and up-to-date contact information can be found at the Foundation's website and official page at www.gutenberg.org/contact. Section 4. Information about donations to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. Project Gutenberg trademark depends upon and cannot survive without widespread public support and donations to carry out its mission of increasing the number of public domain and licensed works that can be freely distributed in machine-readable form accessible by the widest array of equipment, including outdated equipment. Many small donations, $1 to $5,000, are particularly important to maintaining tax-exempt status with the IRS. The Foundation is committed to complying with the laws regulating charities and charitable donations in all 50 states of the United States. Compliance requirements are not uniform and it takes a considerable effort, much paperwork, and many fees to meet and keep up with these requirements. We do not solicit donations in locations where we have not received written confirmation of compliance. To send donations or determine the status of compliance for any particular state, visit www.gutenberg.org/donate. While we cannot and do not solicit contributions from states where we have not met the solicitation requirements, we know of no prohibition against accepting unsolicited donations from donors in such states who approach us with offers to donate. International donations are gratefully accepted, but we cannot make any statements concerning tax treatment of donations received from outside the United States. U.S. laws alone swamp our small staff. Please check the Project Gutenberg web pages for current donation methods and addresses. Donations are accepted in a number of other ways, including checks, online payments, and credit card donations. To donate, please visit www.gutenberg.org/donate. Section 5. General information about Project Gutenberg trademark electronic works. Professor Michael S. Hart was the originator of the Project Gutenberg trademark concept of a library of electronic works that could be freely shared with anyone. For 40 years, he produced and distributed Project Gutenberg trademark ebooks with only a loose network of volunteer support. Project Gutenberg trademark ebooks are often created from several printed editions, all of which are confirmed as not protected by copyright in the U.S. unless a copyright notice is included. Thus, we do not necessarily keep ebooks in compliance with any particular paper edition. Most people start at our website, which has the main PG search facility, www.gutenberg.org. This website includes information about Project Gutenberg trademark, including how to make donations to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, how to help produce our new ebooks, and how to subscribe to our email newsletter to hear about new ebooks. Back. The Tower contents: Sailing to Byzantium I-234. The Tower I-2-3 Meditations in Time of Civil War. I Ancestral Houses. 2 My House. 3 My Table. 4 My Descendants. V The Road at My Door. 6 The Stairs Nest by My Window. 7 I See Phantoms of Hatred and of the Heart's Fullness and of the Coming Emptiness. 1919 I-234 V6 The Will, Youth and Age. The New Faces. A Prayer for My Son. 2 Songs from a Play. I-2 Wisdom. Leda and the Swan on a Picture of a Black Centaur by Edmund Dulac. Among School Children. I-234 V678 Colonus Praise, from Oedipus et Colonus, Chorus. The Hero, the Girl, and the Fool. The Girl, the Hero, the Girl, the Hero, the Girl, the Fool. By the Roadside. Owen Ahern and his Dancers. I-2 A Man Young and Old. First Love. Human Dignity. The Mermaid. The Death of the Hare. The Empty Cup. His Memories. The Friends of His Youth. Summer and Spring. The Secrets of the Old. His Wildness. The Three Monuments from Oedipus et Colonus. I-234 The Gift of Harun al-Rashid. All Souls Night. An Epilogue to a Vision. Note. Sailing to Byzantium. Stanza 4 The Tower. Part 2 The Tower. Part 3 The Dying Swan. Meditations in Time of Civil War. Section 6 Section 7, Stanza 2 Section 7, Stanza 4 1919 Section 6 2 Songs from a Play Among School Children. Stanza 3 The Gift of Harun al-Rashid. The Full Project Gutenberg License.